So, family, it's 27 of you guys. If you guys could please type in the chat box, and I just want to just fill our audience here. How long you been with our amazing company? And are you a special disability travel advisor? I know some of you guys are taking the test. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because I always say week after week after week, it takes a very special person to do what we do, right? This will give Robert and Randy a kind of an idea of what our audience is like. Because I sit here today saying thank you to Deidre and Adrian. I'm going to give you guys your flowers. We've been rocking, and where is Miss Marva Daniels? We've been rocking special disabilities training now. It will be 4 years, May 8th. So when Ron Archer came and said, David McCovey said, you are the one that's going to have to do this, I didn't say no. So I want to tell my veterans and my everyone that gets on here with me every Monday, thank you, thank you, thank you. Because of you individuals drive me to continue to do what we do. Deidre and I made a promise last month that we would get a supplier on once a month. We'll get a testimony once a month. We'll do a Q&A once a month. And we will train once a month. And even when I'm traveling, I am still in the room with you guys. So I have to say thank you for getting on, but let everybody know we're getting ready to get started. So I get the opportunity to bring up this amazing individual. And I get to edify two people today. I am so excited. I want to bring up the men of the hour. I like to bring up Randy Raff. You guys know how much love I have for Randy. I can edify Randy all day, but he
Oh,
is
wow.
our senior strategic business development manager for Royal Caribbean Royal International. He is our corporate BDM for Archer Travel, but he is my friend. There's nothing, if he call and ask me, Patrice, can we do lunch to brainstorm on what you're going to do for your upcoming year? Patrice, can I get on your team calls? Patrice, can I be on Tuesday night? Patrice, can I be on Saturday night? Whatever it is, this man is always available for us. And I have to personally tell you, thank you so much. I got an opportunity to meet this amazing man, and I wasn't for sure if it was the same person, but I got to meet Robert Harris. He is the Director of Ability Services and Programs for World International. He had this booth. I said, I need that booth. We were on the Ovation of the Seas back in May. Everything was, as the kids would say, lit. They had everything going. But you guys always know, I always know where I want to be at the right place. And when I seen that he had that special disabilities, I had his ear. I said, I am going to connect with you, but I didn't realize I was going to be connecting with you this soon. So I want to personally tell you, thank you. I'm going to be your best friend. You're gonna tell Randy that Patrice reached out to me. This is something so dear to my heart. Robert, I've been doing this for over 40 plus years as a foster parent with the Special Olympics. I'm a Special Olympic cheer coach, and I have a special needs travel squad with me here in Evo. I want to tell you guys thank you for being here today. And what I'm going to do is hand the mic over to you two amazing individuals.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Patrice. And I'm really excited to be working with Robert. Robert heads up a whole team of experts in any form of accessible needs we have, special dietary functions, you name it, they have it. And I'm going to turn it over. And as many of you know, I also had some special needs. I utilize a scooter when I sail. And just to show you an example, when I was on the Star and I was in my accessible cabin, I just happened to mention to Robert hey, I think that the soap dispensers in the roll-in shower is a little bit too high for somebody who's down. And he goes, we already know about it and we're already working on it. So Robert is really on top of things. And the great thing is also when we go to different ports, um, I use a scooter, and there were some ports in the past that I just couldn't even get off because we use tenders and stuff. Well, the great news is when we tender in Cabo San Lucas, we utilize we don't use our boats. We spend the extra money and we utilize the Cabo San Lucas boats to take us from our ship to shore, and all of them are ADA compliant. And I just rolled right off of our ship right onto the tender and rolled off right into the heart of Cabo. It was such a sense of freedom and independence. I was able to do that. And we just had the fortunate experience last week to see our new Royal Beach Club in Nassau, Paradise Island. And again, I was worried because you have to take a water taxi to get to this beach club. And sure enough, all accessible, wheelchairs, scooters, anything you need to get on and off. And Robert will tell you even more about that. So I will turn this over to Robert at this point to say hi, and he's got some interesting things to share with us.
All right. Thanks, Randy. And thanks, Patricia. So I was so happy when I saw you because it is faster than I thought we'd catch up. And it's wonderful to meet all of you. I'm really feeling very fortunate to kick the week off with this kind of presentation. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to go over some of this stuff, like the general accessibility features. But I think one of the things that I want to kick out with before I start into the PowerPoint content was just to let you know that our accessibility team, we've had some leadership changes over the last year, and we've driven more. I think, my goodness, in the last 6, 7, 8 months, it's kind of a blur. Hard to believe we're already almost in November. We've had more growth and more innovation in the last handful of months than I've seen since I've been with this department. And we're all centered around one core value, and that value is when someone tells you what they need, believe them, and then do what you can to accommodate them. And it's been a bit of a change, right? Compliance, ADA compliance, that's certainly our baseline. But you all are familiar with the Royal brand, and compliance isn't necessarily, it's part of our DNA, but it's not the whole set, right? It's an innovative cruise line. We're always pushing boundaries. We're pushing boundaries for accessibility, just like we're pushing boundaries everywhere else with the Icon class ships, with the new Oasis class ships. We got a new one that just had steel cut. As we look ahead, and you're looking out and planning for your clients over the next several years, this is just going to get better and better and better. Interestingly, I was doing some market research not too long ago. In fact, on the ship with Randy last week, and I was looking at global cruise growth over the next year. Not the next year, next years through 2033, and it's pegged to go an average annual growth rate of about 8%. But here's the thing: accessible cruise is estimated to grow at 11.5% a year at the same
It's
time. So that means
incredible.
that means we're going to welcome more guests with disabilities than we are other guests. That percentage is going to grow, and that's going to be part of what you bring to the table is recognizing. Listen, 1 in 4 people on the planet have a disability, whether you can see it or not, right? One of our big areas of focus the last couple of months has been making sure that we're accommodating guests with those disabilities you can't see, the invisible or non-apparent disabilities, right? That could be anything from a severe dietary allergy to diabetes to COPD or a heart condition, right? those things do impact one or more major life functions. And we got to recognize that this exists. So we're forming partnerships around the world. We just piloted, just 2 weeks ago, we piloted our support for the Global HD Sunflower Organization. I don't know if y'all have seen those sunflower lanyards that some folks are wearing. You're seeing it in LA, we're seeing it in Miami, we're seeing it in Fort Lauderdale. Everywhere you go, every airport you walk through or roll through, you're going to see those lanyards and you're going to see that sunflower line. And really, what it is a way for your clients to discreetly advertise that, hey, I might need a little more help. We want to make sure that we roll this out perfectly. So, in cooperation with Broward County, we launched this support at Port Everglades Cruise Terminal. And we'll be piloting throughout the rest of this quarter to make sure we dial in perfectly. And then we are going to go global. We're going to scale up quickly. Up, fabulous. Amanda, thank you so much for that. That nailed it. Yep. I have a non-apparent disability. You can't see it. One of these eyes isn't real. And it does impact me sometimes, not all the time. I just don't play baseball anymore. But I have colleagues on my team that have non-apparent disabilities, and for them just to feel seen, feel recognized, feel valued, and to know that their needs are going to be met, whatever they happen to be as they need it, because we can't always predict what we're going to run into. So we've rolled that out, and we have some exciting new features in our private destinations that I can't tell you about as much as I want to tell you about. We just tested a new feature on Coco K, and believe me, before the year is out, you're going to hear about it, and it's going to be big. It's Royal Caribbean is currently the first U.S.-based cruise line to announce our support and launch our support for the HD Sunflower Organization. And with this new feature that, again, I'm sworn to secrecy, will be the first cruise line on the planet to offer this as a feature for our guests with disabilities. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen real quick. I could talk about this all day, and I know you don't have all day. All right. Can everybody see my screen okay? Can anybody not see my screen? We good? As we go, Patrice, we're good?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. One of the things I think that really stands out for our global accessibility leadership team. I'm a leader on that team. My colleague Claudia Espana, she is a co-leader on that team. She is herself a full-time wheelchair user. Our senior analyst for digital accessibility is a blind individual that uses screen readers on the regular. Our senior analyst for employee accommodation is the mother of a child with autism. We have people in positions of decision-making authority that have lived experience, have professional experience, and we approach this with a personal passion. We're not here to do good enough. We're here to make this great and for everybody. So I did want to clarify that nobody can do accessibility alone, as you well know. So let me go ahead and navigate through these slides here. If you have questions, just go ahead and drop them in the chat. In terms of disabilities, right, we cover the spectrum: mobility disabilities, hearing disabilities, visual. But really in this box, and I think we need to update this deck because the other needs are probably what you're seeing as much or more of than any other category. We're talking to people about people who are neurodiverse, people with special medical diets or severe anaphylactic, potentially fatal food allergies. People who have medical needs. They may be on dialysis. They may need some medications, administered over the course of their cruise. We can do some things for some people with dialysis, depending on what's going on. And we've got partnerships in place with groups that support guests who are on full-scale dialysis. That's pretty.
As you guys know, to interrupt, I was on dialysis for 3.5 years. I did the peritoneal dialysis at home, which meant that I did it every single night for 10 hours, but I was able to come onto the ship, and Robert's whole department helped arrange in advance. I had all my fluid medicine delivered to the ship, waiting for me in my stateroom. I had the IV pulled from the hospital, delivered to my room, waiting in it, and I was able to do do it manually, the dialysis. And it was and I've done 3, 4, 5 cruises like that. I'm happy to say it's 3 years ago. I went off dialysis when I got a kidney transplant, and things are going straight great. But I have never seen a company that treated me so well with all the needs that I had and put my worries to peace.
And that's thank you for sharing that, Randy. And that's the thing that we're really here, right? We're not selling cruises, we're selling experiences and memories, right? We're selling a break from the barriers that our guests with disabilities encounter on shore day in and day out, right? And that's what my team and my whole department is here to support. We're here to support you. We're here to support your clients in having an experience where they get on board, they get a vacation from their day-to-day work, they get a vacation from the barriers they experience on shore. And it once you've put that together for them, they're going to be yours for life, right? We know that when going back into my old sales days, that's a part of my previous life was in sales, and I worked with school districts around the world, working on their special education departments. But one of the things I knew is that first sale was the hardest to get, and as long as the product was as advertised, then the rest of the sales just came to me. And we were proud to do it. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to make sure that we're delivering on the promises that we make and the promises that you make on our behalf. And, you know, I would love to, if you've got a family or you've got a group of individuals and any disability is represented. If somebody says, hey, I've just got some special need, I don't know if you can help, or hey, I've got a disability and this is what it is this even possible? If you don't know, you'll have my email address. Randy's got it, Patrice's got it. We will coordinate with you and your clients from day one to make this perfect, because that's really the difference between supporting a family who doesn't have disability as part of their story and supporting a family who does. The more we know and the earlier we know it, the more we nail it, and more we can prepare our onboard teams who are absolutely tremendous at getting this done.
And Robert, all we
Mhm,
ask is that you give us time. Do not
mhm.
call us 2 days before sailing. Give us as much time as you have in advance to let us know so we can make everything happen. Time
Yeah.
is our best friend.
Yeah. And I don't know if I don't remember because I get excited and then sometimes I forget what I say. But globally, 1 in 4 individuals has disability. So if you've got a family of 4, chances are somebody in that family has a disability. So what I always encourage, our contact center teams internally, both the frontline and the access or global accessibility contact center team, ask the question as part of the process, right? You're asking all of the questions already. Tell me about what you like. Hey, do you have any accessibility needs? Right? The sooner we know, the better. But definitely not to contradict Randy, because I never would, because he's great. Do call us 2 days before if you haven't told us yet, because that's still some time we can do some things. It's not our favorite,
Sure.
but if you haven't told us, don't hold back, because we'll call up the onboard team and we'll say, hey, we just got notice. We got to get some things put together. Gets a little spicy, but we like spicy things. We'd rather know late than not at all. So accessible staterooms, these are the features, and these are designed for guests with mobility disabilities. There are other guests with other disabilities, sometimes visual disabilities, guests who are blind, that do benefit from the additional floor space. But one of the things I really want to, we have them across categories, and I'll get to the grid, but the features of an accessible stateroom really are outside of the suites. This is our Crown Loft suite on Oasis class. It's got the elevator built in. It's one of the things that you'll notice in our accessible staterooms. They have grab bars in the bathroom. They have lowered counters. They have a roll-in shower. And as you can see in these images, they have clear floor space that allow someone using a mobility device to do a 360-degree turn. Now, these staterooms are a little bigger. When people say, oh, I always like to sail in an accessible stateroom because it's a little bigger. That's true. It's bigger, because we're holding that space for people with mobility devices who need to be able to turn around in a full circle to get to the balcony, to get into the bathroom. Um, Guests who don't have mobility disabilities, this is the best example that that seems to be landing with folks. If a guest says, "Well, I heard, the accessible staterooms, those are the same price, right? But it's a little bigger, and I know cruise ship staterooms are small." One of the things you can always go back to them and say is, yeah, an accessible stateroom is bigger. But if you don't need the features of an accessible stateroom, it's going to be like wearing shoes that are two sizes too big and then running, right? Your feet will be protected. You probably won't fall, but it's going to feel weird. And the real reason is because that room wasn't made for somebody who doesn't need it. With the lowered counter, the grab bars, the roll-in shower, that's not they're not going to come out with an experience. It's just going to feel a little odd to them. And really, we want to hold those because we do have limited inventory in our accessible staterooms. One thing I will say is my colleague Claudia has been working with our design and new build teams, and we're looking at increasing the availability of those accessible staterooms. That's some years out, but it's a long process to design a ship and build it out. What I can say is one of the things you can do to help is make sure you're qualifying those guests carefully, right? And it doesn't have to be intrusive. Just say, do you need the accessible features of the accessible stateroom? If they say, well, not really, it's just a little bigger, then say, let's get you in a room that's just right for you. And we can do that. All right. Booking them. There's lots of different ways you can book them. You can call us directly, call into our trade support teams who are there to help you out. Travel partners can book them online in Espresso or any booking tool of your choice. Now, here's the thing that's not on the slide because this just got pushed out to our contact center. If you see a category guarantee, that's an XB. Help me out, Randy. Uh, we'll just
Um,
go the categories.
a category Z guarantee, an XB guarantee, a Y guarantee,
Mhm. If
Ocean
you
View, whatever.
Thank you. If you see those and your guest is driven by price, you can sell them that stateroom, an accessible stateroom at the guarantee price. You can do that
That's
because
great news, everybody.
yeah, it's huge news, especially for guests who are value shoppers, right? And listen, I see the prices that are across the industry all the time, and a lot of guests do book that way. So when you see a price, what you do is this is on U.S. sailings for guests who are U.S. citizens. You see the price of the category guarantee. So say the guest wants to sail in an ocean view, and you see some availability in our accessible staterooms, and you see promotional guarantee available as well. As long as that promotional guarantee is available and the guest indicates that that's the price they're shopping for, you call into the trade support contact center and you advise them, hey, I've got a guest who wants to book at the accessible guarantee rate or at the guarantee rate, and they need an accessible stateroom. They will book that guest in. They will locate that guarantee inventory that day because with our accessible staterooms due to limited inventory, we're going to have them occupied in that stateroom right away, and then they'll price protect to the guarantee rate. You just have to ask for the accessible stateroom price protection because if we didn't do that, we're essentially charging a disability tax, and that's not ethical, and we're an ethical company. So that's something to keep in mind for your guests who are shopping at price. It's a good feature. We've advised all of our contact centers, and all of our agents are aware. And this is the frontline agents. You don't have to call the access department for that. Just call the standard desk that you call, and they'll take care of you from there. So that's an important clarification I wanted to say. Here's our counts. We have representation in suites, in balconies, in ocean view, and interiors. Icon class has 50 total, what I call fully accessible staterooms. Those are the ones with the extra floor space and roll-in shower, lowered counters. And then, based on the size of the ship, the count goes down from there. So one of the keys to booking an accessible stateroom, and for guests who use mobility devices, Randy could tell you, the earlier you book them, the better. So keep an eye out for that new deployment when you see it. Um, Gobble them up, so that your clients can be assured of having the space that they need. All right. So we are also an autism friendly cruise line. And this is something that's getting a lot of focus this year because if you have probably seen it, it's in the news. The rate of individuals being identified as having autism is consistently climbing. Um, and the things that we do to accommodate autism are highly individual. One of the phrases that resonates as true is if you've met one person with autism, then you've met one person with autism. It's different for everybody. There are different levels of autism, really designated as the levels of support they need. Level one is an individual who you may not be able to tell they're neurodiverse just at a glance or even after talking to them for a while. But there are things in the environment that can be triggering. Level two, they need a little bit more support. You're probably going to notice some things. And level three, that's typically an individual who needs relatively full-time support. And may have some behaviors that are exceptionally challenging without a lot of advanced planning. So we do have some features available on board. The Autism Channel is free to access. We have autism-friendly films, which are, it's a low light environment, low volume. One of the key things we know about individuals with autism is that there tends to be a lot of sensory sensitivity. Like I said, it's not everybody, but those are one of the things that we can control. We have a toy lending program for kids. There's a cruising social story, which a social story, and those have just been updated. They're beautiful. We're going by ship class, making them more specific. But really, when it comes to autism, especially kids who are at a level two or kids or individuals, that's the thing. Kids with autism grow up to be adults with autism, right? It doesn't go away. The difference is a child with autism has had autism for less time than an adult. So they're learning how to navigate the world with the sensory input that's coming in at them all the time. A 25-year-old person with autism has been doing this for 25 years. So they're more well versed. They can self-manage a little bit better. So a lot of these you'll notice are kind of directed at kids because that's where the support is needed. But adults with autism have important needs as well. And if we can understand what they need, how they accommodate their themselves or their loved one at home, that can help us to build a framework for accommodating them on the ship. And there's a lot of exciting things in plan for next year. In terms of ways that we can support, and I don't want to say too much, it's still in the budgeting stage. But this is an area of big focus and an area you're probably seeing a lot more of. The services include priority check-in, boarding, and departure. And here's one thing I'm really excited to share with you. Um, every time I'm in Miami or in Los Angeles or in Bayonne or in Tampa or Galveston, I take a day and I just camp out. Usually a busy turn day. Well, it'd be weird to be at the terminal not during a turn day because it's empty. So I pick a turn day and I just bring in a chair and I camp out in the terminal and I just watch the flow. Um, how many of you, and I'm going to drop this, if you could raise your hand on Zoom, how many of you have boarded a cruise and it was just like you got there at 11 or 12 o'clock and it was just pandemonium? Anyone? Where's my raise hand button? Oh, I'm seeing hands pop up. Listen, if you've been in a terminal at 12 p.m. or in that area, it's nuts, right? Here's the thing. When we say priority boarding and departure, we're guiding our guests to check in at 1 to 1:30 p.m. or later, because guess what happens? Like around noon or before, that is the peak time. And no matter how much we want to control it, people show up when they show up. I know we have these specific check-in times and the ground teams do what they can, but they're not going to turn people away. And everybody wants to get on the ship. But if we have a person with autism who has sensory triggers, here's what that experience is like. There's chaos getting parking. There's chaos getting into the front door. Then there's a long line and there's hundreds of people, if not 1,000 people. And all of the noise and smell and heat that's generated by that many people is happening all at once. And we have all of the terminal staff that showed up to work that day are there trying to manage that crowd. If we get the guests through onto the ship early, then they're placed in a public area, right? Because the staterooms don't open usually until 1:30 or 2 p.m. So they're in a public area. Now they're on board and we've got the music bumping and we're trying to give everybody a party. And then what happens is that public area gets more and more crowded and more and more crowded and more and more crowded and noisier. And then that's when we see meltdowns. When a person or a family that includes an individual with autism boards at 1:30, they walk through the front door. There's a handful of people out front. They walk in, and what they see is relatively empty terminal. They walk through. We have lots of staff available that are giving them individualized support because there's not pulled in 1,000 directions. Then they get on board. They can go straight to their stateroom, decompress, take a few breaths, and decide where they want to go next. They can go to the windjammer. They can go into the solarium if they're old enough. They can make those plans, and there's no pressure. So when we say priority check-in, boarding, and departure, we're strongly recommending families with autism board a little bit later because it sets the cruise up so much better. It starts that first day on a high note. It's easy and it's smooth. We'll do special dietary accommodations up to and including. Does anybody have a client with that has a child with autism that only eats like Tyson Dino chicken nuggets? Anybody heard that one? Mm-hmm. Yep, Amanda, you're right here with me. I'm vibing with you right now. That is a thing that we can accommodate, right? We have to be very specific and very careful about when we accommodate that. And so there is a screening process, but in situations where we have a child with autism who is very brand specific, it could be the taste, it could be the texture, it could be the shape, who knows, right? But we had a kiddo, he sailed with us 3 times now, who only eats one specific brand. And this is the only calories this kiddo consumes. He gets vitamins in his juice, but only one specific brand of frozen soft pretzel. Not fresh soft pretzel, frozen soft pretzel, this specific brand. It's the only thing his parents have ever been able to get him to eat. He's 6 years old. And so we find a way to source that for them. Ideally, we're looking at 90 days notice so that our procurement teams can find that and our suppliers can find it. But don't let that be a reason that a family doesn't book for you. Um, uh, uh, and Dr. Dwyer, I am so sorry that you were told that. Kids with autism grow into be adults with autism. That's true at any age. We have adults who sail with us and they're on specific medical diets, feeding tube formula. Lots of folks on G tubes, right? And I'm trying to remember the brand name. I was just in a meeting about it. We can help them out with the feeding tube formula. Ideally, the guests bring their own feeding tube formula if they can, because it's with them, right? Because as much as we have a very high hit rate, but there is that 1 to 1.5% of requests where, the courier doesn't deliver. We actually had a close friend of mine, my previous boss, her mother-in-law had feeding tube formula. We did every step in the process was right. The courier delivering the feeding tube formula went to the wrong pier and missed the ship. We have since changed our process so that those items get loaded the sailing before on the previous turn. But, if it's that kind of situation, we always encourage people to bring their own. Um, but we do have policy exceptions. That's the nature of accommodating disability is we make exceptions to standard operating procedures and policies, like the toilet training policy exception in Adventure Ocean. Hey, if a kiddo isn't quite toilet trained due to disability, then yes, they can join that group. The parents are still going to need to help come change them, but they're welcome to participate in the group. We can't provide the personal care as much as I would like to. We're just not staffed or trained for that level of attention to detail. And there are also privacy and safety issues involved, and we don't want to get involved in that. We will provide pagers um, as well, and there are teens only hangouts and activities. That's one of the areas of big focus for planning for the next year is that, and it is true in the schools too, right? Individuals with disabilities age out of their IEPs and their 504 plans. They hit age 18. There might be a transition plan by the time they're 21. It's like, good luck. I was a special education teacher for a number of years in my previous life, and I saw it firsthand. So it's one of those things that we are planning with our onboard, our activities and entertainment teams, and we are working on programming specific to older individuals with autism. So lots to say. Autism on the Seas cruises is certainly something that we support, but our goal is to provide accommodations that will work for all individuals with autism, and without having to go through a different agency. Okay. Coco K, one of the coolest things that happened last week. That's my colleague Claudia Espana modeling a beach wheelchair in the accessible tram at Coco K. So fun thing, I was on Coco K on Monday or Tuesday. Randy it must have been Tuesday because we boarded the ship on Monday. Yeah. So I was on Coco K on Tuesday. My colleague Elsa De Goyas, who does um, employee accommodation and trains our staff on autism accommodation, was also on the island. Now, Elsa lives in Palm Beach. I live in Oregon, and both of us ended up on Coco Cay on the same day. As a total coincidence. And then Claudia was there on Saturday, and we just had this big accessibility focus on Coco last week, and super exciting. All of the ground teams got trained in our disability champion program, the high level how to support individuals with disabilities across categories, and specifically how to support individuals with autism in a sensory environment that pops like Coco Cay, like Thrill Water Park, and we've got the music, and we've got like Oasis Lagoon. If you've been to Oasis Lagoon and you've been to that swim up bar with the DJ, sometimes I have to go to the back of the lagoon because it's just a little too much for me. And that might mean that I'm getting too old to party like I used to. But what I like to think is just the music's awfully loud. Um, but Coco Cay is a very accessible private destination. And we've been consistently making improvements throughout. We've got accessible cabanas at Hideaway Beach, an accessible tram, the operation of which was getting dialed in over the last couple of years. What I saw on Tuesday was just a smooth operation. People knew where to queue up to catch the tram. And it took them where they wanted to go. Um, you do not have to pay for the beach wheelchairs. And Amanda, thank you. They are first come, first serve. I've never seen them run out. We got a lot of them there. Actually working with a guest who needs some extra reassurance. Yeah, we've never run out of those beach wheelchairs. One thing I will say is if somebody wants to use the beach wheelchairs, it is going to be necessary for them to have someone to push them. As you can see from the wheel here, that one's not it cannot be self-propelled. Somebody will need to push. We have pool lifts throughout, accessible cabanas. One of the improvements that's been made in the last year is accessible dining at every venue, where we had some tables that most of the tables were in sand. We now have tables on the paved area. But private destinations, not just Coco Cay. One of these so exciting because Royal Beach Club, Paradise Island, and Nassau, one of the most accessible venues in the Caribbean, hands down. From the accessible water taxis that take guests from the pier to the Royal Beach Club. Once they're in Royal Beach Club, the cool thing about it is that we used universal design principles to make Royal Beach Club accessible, which means that it's not like, oh, your accessible tables over here. All of the tables are accessible. We got high tops. Those might be difficult for it to be accessed by guests with mobility disabilities, but there are high tops and low tops. And those low tops don't have attached chairs. You just move the chair out, you roll under, boom, you're eating. It's cool. We've got pool lifts at every pool and zero entry pool as well. It's gonna be tremendous. I can't wait to do a full walkthrough once the build out is done. But Randy and I got to see it, and the first part they nailed it, right? Where there are a couple of tweaks to make to the operation in terms of the slope of the ramps to board and debark the water taxis, but it's all in hand. It's really cool. There's a lot of intention in the design itself for accessibility at Royal Beach Club, and nobody's going to have to stand out. Zero entry pool, it's like a beach entry. If you've been to or seen pictures of Oasis Lagoon on Coco Cay, it's just a very gradual sloped entry into the water. So you walk in kind of like you do on the beach. You don't have to climb down a ladder. There are spaces where you can, but you can walk in and it's just a gradual slope down. So if somebody's got a wheelchair, like one of the beach wheelchairs, that can go in, or if they have a wheelchair that's, I don't know if they make amphibious wheelchairs. I've not heard of one, but I've seen individuals just roll themselves into the water. So they can roll in, splash their feet, or they can roll in farther depending on what device they're on. They're very, very cool, and it's part of the design of these features. And as you'll see, I'll answer that question in just a minute. I took my glasses off because sometimes they get dirty. Hanifa, I'll answer that question there towards the end. So in terms of qualifying these guests, we qualify guests across the board, right? That's like, tell me what you want to do, tell me what you need. Focus on the person, not their disability, right? That's when we're talking to people. The contact center team that works for global accessibility, their commandment, like I said earlier, is when someone tells you what they need, believe them. And the reason we say that versus when somebody tells you what their disability is, believe them. We're always going to believe when somebody says, I have a disability. And if somebody tells me they have a disability, I have autism, okay. What do you need? How can I help? Right? That's what we're in. Help me to understand what that means for you, right? Because disability, the range of individuals we have in the room right now, that's the range of individual needs that we're going to see in individuals with disabilities. So focus on the need, focus on the person's individual needs. We don't make assumptions about it, and we'll keep the general questions first. When we get down and they say, here's what I need to really have this be a great time. I need an accessible transfer from the airport to the cruise terminal. I could use an accessible stateroom. Hey, I need a chairlift into the hot tub or the pool. Okay, cool. And then we can ask, tell us what kind of equipment you're bringing so that we can make sure we get the right kind of vehicle. The difference in weight between a manual wheelchair and a power chair is somewhere on the order of 400 pounds, right? And so that changes the type of vehicle we're going to send to the airport to pick them up. But you all know this product. You know it well. If you work with Patrice, I know you know it well. Use that product knowledge and use your lifelines. Randy's here for you. I'm here for you. The entire contact center team is here for you. If you have if somebody asks you a question you don't have an answer for, then you're having a day like I usually have, and then I just phone a friend, right? I call somebody in the hotel operations department or the aquatics program department, and I say, hey, what does this look like when a person needs XYZ? And then we work through it and we say, okay, cool, we got a guest coming with you. That's what we're going to need to do. And they just love having that information up front. Okay. Um, the access department is here to help you. That phone number is accurate. It is open from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Beautiful thing about email is that it's always available. And I'm really happy to report the contact center now is responding in an average of zero point 0.8 days. Through the year, we've seen volume surges. I will tell you the number of accessibility requests that we've had this year exceeded all of 2024 by 30% a month ago. So we're seeing a lot more requests come in, and our response time to the email has been as high as 5 days this year. If you've sent emails in the past few years, you know that's a good high watermark because there were times when the volume was so high and the team was so small that we had response times 10 plus days and beyond. And that's not our goal at all. And because that's not our goal, we've grown the team from a footprint of 18 when I joined the team in 2022 to over 50. And we're adding heads next year to keep up with the surge. So if ever you get there's a delay in response, you can let me know. We also have an accessible shore excursion team that will curate specific accessible shore excursions for you. A lot of what you see in Cruise Planner can be accessible if it's not automatically accessible. And they'll work directly between you, your clients, and the tour operators themselves to create an accessible experience. Again, the earlier you reach out to them, the better because there are seat limits. And then the online form, when we're working on updating these globally and aligning them, it's just royalcaribbean.com, the special needs form. And I can send you that link in the chat when we're done here. All right, let me see here. Go in and think we're good. Prior notification is an important element. Okay. 60 days notice is ideal for sign language interpreting service. I know Randy mentioned it earlier in our conversation. If you have guests that include a deaf individual in the family, we're going to provide sign language interpreters. It's for ASL only. Again, it's for U.S. citizens on U.S. sailings. But we're going to provide a sign language interpreter because, listen, the family's on vacation. We want the family to be able to take a break from interpreting all the time as well. 30 days notice for most everything else. Now, if you've got, say, a client that wants to sail in Europe or UK, or they want to do a transoceanic cruise, a repositioning cruise, and they've got a service animal, definitely earlier is better. Some of these things we can accommodate. We cannot accommodate service animals from the West Coast to Australia. And really, the hangup is Hawaii. It's almost impossible to meet the guidelines. We had to troubleshoot a situation a couple of years ago where a guest did not get the right testing done and Hawaii quarantined their dog for 30 days. As soon as the dog arrived, they're like, that dog's going to quarantine because they didn't have the rabies titer test. But I have a service animal project team that will pull all of the information your clients need to sail with their service dog, but there are requirements from every country they stop at on their itinerary, and we want to give them an opportunity to be able to meet those requirements. We do have resources. We've got at royalcaribbean.com accessible seas. Randy mentioned the accessible seas brochure. I am in the process, literally today, was doing some work on it of updating this to get it up to 2025 and beyond standards. So this will be updated, but until the new one's ready, this one will serve you. So if there are specific questions that aren't answered, again, Randy and I are here for you. The consumer website is a great resource. Again, as part of our constant push to improve, we're looking at updating all of the guidance in here as well. but we will probably always be improving it. But right now, it's a good resource to set expectations for your clients that include individuals with disabilities. Royal Caribbean University has accessibility at sea module. Strongly encourage you to go through that. And what I would love is if you go through that and you say, that didn't quite go the way that I expected, or I wanted some more information. I would love that feedback. Work closely with our sales training team to put this out. And I want to make sure that the content you need, the content you want, the content that your clients are bringing to you are represented in that training. And I think I mentioned earlier, training and development composes my entire professional career before Royal. So it's one of my favorite things to do. There's almost no problem that can't be solved by better training. Hands down, education is the key to success across the board. And I will continue to try and convince my sons of that fact. So that's what I've got. That's the deck. You've all listened to me for a very long time. I would love to transition into some questions.
I saw one question about there is no charge for any of the Royal Caribbean University training courses.
Absolutely not. And if there was, we would find a way to get you a refund, but there is no charge. We never would charge you for that.
Okay, we have a couple questions in the chat.
Excellent. Beautiful.
So one says, for anyone who requires a bed lift for transfers to or from wheelchairs, they need to bring their own seat straps. Is that correct?
That is correct. We don't always have the right straps, but we do work with two incredible vendors, Special Needs at Sea and Scoot Around, that the guests can rent a Hoyer lift, and that lift will be installed in their stateroom. It'll be ready for them when they get on board, and then when they leave, they just leave it in the stateroom. Those vendors come and pick it up. I always strongly recommend it. I know there are portable Hoyer lifts, but man, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I hate traveling with luggage. I can go 10 days on a carry-on. I'm not saying I smell great at the end of the 10 days, but I can go 10 days on a carry-on, and like the less luggage that they have to haul around, the better.
Okay, our next question, is there an easy or quick way to figure out if a port is accessible?
Absolutely. You just call the Global Accessibility Contact Center team. We have Claudia, who I've referenced a couple of times here today, for the last 5 years, and I'm not kidding. This was one of her pandemic projects that has finally come to fruition. We've got what's called a port accessibility database. And what that combines is data from the ports, data from the ships, and data about the ship and port tenders. So like Randy was saying, sometimes our ships use ship tenders, and sometimes our ships use port tenders. And depending on whether the ship, if they have accessible tenders, they also need an accessible tender loading platform. That's a roll-on, roll-off. So there are 4 or 5 data points, and the database that we have to refer to allows us to look up a specific ship and their itinerary and say, okay, these are the docked ports. Docked ports we're going to say are generally accessible. There are times when the floating docks maybe have ramps that are extra steep depending on tide, and we'll look up that information as well. But we'll say, okay, for the tendered ports, is the ship have an accessible tender loading platform? If so, are we using ship tenders or port tenders? And depending on which that is, are those tenders accessible? If the answer is yes across the board, then we can say that that port is accessible. And we can also use that if you're trying to figure out an ideal itinerary for a client to say, what's the most accessible itinerary I can go on? We're happy to look that up for you as well.
I saw a question about dialysis, and that's really something that you really should know, that if you don't do your at-home dialysis or something like that, if you're going into a dialysis center 3 times a week, that needs nursing care and whatever. And Robert, correct me if I'm wrong, we don't provide that in our hospital. That has to be booked through a certain company that brings the machinery on and the trained nurses, because they have to monitor the hemodialysis and their blood pressures and things like that.
Yeah, hemodialysis is a complex treatment, and so we do partner with an agency that's called Dialysis at Sea that sails on specific ships in specific itineraries and Royal and Celebrity that bring their own nephrologist and team of registered nurses, and they provide treatment in staterooms that we have modified to be able to accommodate the plumbing and electrical requirements of those dialysis machines.
Wow.
Um, it can, from what I understand, it is quite expensive. But if somebody is on hemodialysis and really wants to cruise, I can connect you with that agency to see what's possible. One thing that just won't fly, and I want to be able to approve this, but I just can't. It's not safe. Guests who say, "Oh, I booked dialysis in all the ports of call. It's going to be fine." I wish it was fine. But you all know we're seeing weather in the Caribbean right now. Those ships are like, we really want to hit every port on time that's on our itinerary. We know that doesn't happen. And somebody missing a dialysis treatment, that could be a life and death situation. So we can't approve that on board. If they're on ambulatory or peritoneal dialysis, no problem. There are some criteria. They have to have been doing it for some time, and they have to have a fit to travel letter from their physician or nephrologist. But if that's the case, we'll take it from there and make sure their supplies are there for them like they were for Randy.
Yeah.
Good question.
You know what else is an interesting question, everybody? I just found this out last week. If you're traveling with a baby or a child, I don't know what the age limit was, Robert, but because of the weather, they were missing a few ports, and the people were denied boarding because you can't go, I think, is it more than 5 days without a port if there's a child involved or something? Could you explain that a little bit to us?
Yeah, our
It's the
sailing
first
age
time I ever
policy.
heard of that.
Yeah, our minimum sailing age is 6 months old, and that's by month. We looked at the opportunity to convert it to a number of days, but the reason that minimum, and I'm going to make sure I get this exactly right, so forgive me as I talk and type at the same time. Our medical facilities and the equipment we have in those medical facilities just isn't small enough for tiny babies, and we don't want to risk them. We won't risk them. And as much as we would like to, um, as much as we would like to extend the welcome to those families with infants under 6 months old, we just can't do it. It's just not safe. We do a lot of time planning for what's the worst thing that could happen. And honestly, I can't think of anything worse than losing a child because the medical facility didn't have the right kind of equipment. So that is all right. That is the restriction for in general.
Okay, I have a question, Robert.
Yeah.
Back to the dialysis at sea. Aren't
Mhm.
they a separate travel agency though, in terms
Yes.
of us being able to book from a commission
Right.
perspective?
Yeah, I would bridge you with the owner of Dialysis at Sea if you had those partners. So that's why I was a little bit hesitant because I don't want you to hand over those commissions either. So I will bridge you with the owner of Dialysis at Sea and see if there is, arrangements that can be made. Um, but otherwise, let's see. Yeah, it's not the best idea. Let's see. Infant policy. Here we are. So in Randy, to your point, let's see. That there's a cruise. It cannot have more than 3 or more consecutive days at sea,
Yes,
right?
that's it.
For
Guys,
club,
this is really important because
yeah,
some people last week were doing a canal from San Diego, and they because of the storms on the West Coast. The first port would have been Guatemala, and they were denied boarding in San Diego because it was more than 5 days. So they did fly and pick up the ship in Guatemala after that because there was a lot of
a
ports.
lot
But
of
Robert, I'm glad you brought that up. Everyone needs to know this, just like you can't bring a baby on a transatlantic.
Right. So, and that really is, that's 12 months and below. If they're over 12 months, you're good to go. There are no restrictions. But again, we're just trying to protect the babies. And that's why it's that way. The itineraries with 3 or more days at sea, they're generally far away from land. And if there's any kind of accident, it's anything tragic that might happen, even a medevac, a helicopter, it's not gonna, I don't even like to think about
I
it.
got
So that's why we have that policy in place.
So we have
It's hard for parents, but that's it. Yes, ma'am.
yeah,
Sorry.
2 more questions and then we'll close out.
All righty.
One is, are there luggage fees or restrictions for our CCL trips? And if so, is there a way to waive those for any medically necessary or special needs excess luggage?
I I don't think there are luggage fees. Randy, do you
No, there
know?
are no luggage fees at
No.
all. You can
Yeah.
bring as much luggage as you can. And if for some reason there was something because of medical, we certainly could get that waived, just like the airlines waive extra baggage. When I used to travel with my dialysis machine and had extra bags, they always waive that. But the beauty about a cruise, again, this is for the cruise portion. But if they are traveling with air, then that's something you have to talk to the airlines about to getting to the cruise. But once you get to the cruise, there are absolutely no luggage fees, and you can bring whatever you need to bring on and through the luggage area.
Yeah, and that's a good point because I was thinking back and I saw some poor people with way more luggage than people in their party, and I was feeling bad for them getting to the airport just last week. And you know that waiving some of those policy requirements. We have some guests who need like more than the allowable. What is it? Like it was a Powerade that they needed to bring, and they wanted to bring like 2 cases because this person, for whatever reason, in their medical condition, they consumed a lot. They needed to consume a lot of electrolytes, and they didn't want to buy that many on board. So we found a way to approve them to bring the amount that they needed. We're going to go reasonable accommodation every time. Scott, your question about a titanium plate. You could just reach out to Access and we'll write you an approval. Yeah, but a letter from your doctor is not a bad idea because sometimes you don't even need to reach out to the Access team. If you tell the screener, I don't know if titanium would set off the metal detector
No,
either.
I have titanium in me.
Okay, so Randy answers the question for Scott from personal experience. I love it.
Yes, I have titanium plates in my spine.
I'm with you,
Okay,
Randy. I got titanium plates in my neck. I never go off.
Yeah, not even at
perfect,
the airport do they
Not
go.
even at the airport, neither. Mm-mm.
fabulous. Anything
I,
else?
my doctor told me I have enough titanium in me to build an airplane.
Are there any other questions or comments?
That was our last one, Patrice.
That was it. So I want to say personally, Randy and Robert, thank you for just coming on, even with the short notice. I had said to the team last Monday that was on, I said, well, let me just reach out to Randy. I can't make any promises, but we see what we can do. And then when he sent me the message a couple of days ago that you were going to be joining us, I truly, truly appreciate both of you. I most definitely will be reaching out to you. I have a question on accessibility training. Do I have to go through and take all of the Royal training on the university, or is that
No,
part of the training?
you could, well, I can answer, Robert. You can actually, when you go on to Royal Caribbean University, you could choose whatever vignette you want to use for your training.
Robert,
Yep.
I'm ready to get certified.
Yep, fabulous. I'm just putting this in the chat. Yeah, we're here for it. And when you have feedback, just kick it to me. I'm gonna put my email address in the chat.
Okay.
Um, and I always love hearing from everybody. So you know, let me know what you need,
Robert,
and
you're
I'll believe you.
incredible today. I can't thank you enough for all
Thank
that
you.
you're doing. And I'm so excited that you're at the helm of this great department of ours because I could just see things going right through the sky's the limit with you. And that's what makes me so excited.
Absolutely. And Hamila, let me just check with the sales training team and make sure. This is they worked this deck up for us with a lot of input, but I want to make sure before I promise it's usable. I can't imagine it's
Well, you
not.
know what? Actually, what we try not to do is reuse, and we understand from what happened last week. I just took some screenshots. It's just strictly
Okay.
for you guys, for your records to be able to share with your clients as you walking through. We do not allow to give out the presenters' presentations out of
Okay.
respect. So, Henrik, you have his email. If anything you need, just feel free to reach out.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I want
Absolutely.
to say thank you, thank you, thank you. I will be in contact with you, Robert, because I do a
Beautiful.
lot of other things just besides EVO. As I said, my nonprofit organization, I work real closely with Ability Expo, and I'm always frontlining everything with Royal. Everybody tell you, if you see
Fabulous.
my booth, it's always Royal Caribbean.
And don't
Well,
forget, everybody, remember our great ships out of California. We've got the Quantum and the Navigator doing 3, 4, 5, and 7 night sailings. And next fall, we'll be having the Serenade of the Seas sailing 7 days and 3 and 4 days from San Diego. And it's going to La Paz in the Sea of Cortez, the first for Royal in a long time. So we need all your support, and Archer, Evo, and all of you guys are our big supporters, and we're here to help you as well.
So
Thank you.
that means that all of you guys need to be at SoCal Boot Camp because we are doing our cruise.
We're
We
doing a
are doing
tour.
our cruise tour. And this is the thing. After tomorrow, when Randy give me the final number, you know I'm gonna go change my job form. And for those that's already registered, first come, first served. So if you're coming to SoCal Boot Camp, you need to get registered now because the number could change as of tomorrow.
Yes.
Andy and Robert. Adrian, Deidre, close us out, please.
All right, everybody. Again, thank you so much for being on our call. As Patrice mentioned, it is our goal to have one of our supplier partners on each month. So, to give you a heads up, coming up next month in November, we are going to have Disney on the line. We have already confirmed them. So, November the 10th, we will have our representative from Disney talking about disability services there. So, again, mark your calendars, make sure you plan to be here. We also want to make sure that you're planning to be at the birthday party. Have they announced the birthday party yet?
No,
Yeah,
what's
well,
that?
they
I love
haven't
a
really said a
party.
lot, but we know that we should see something on November.
Well, keep your eyes open. Some information is going to be coming out shortly about the birthday party,
I love a good cake, so make
The
sure there's
Evo
good
10th
vanilla
birthday
cake.
party will be out there on the West Coast. If you haven't gotten your convention tickets, make sure you do that as well because you need your convention tickets.
Randy, are you coming to Hawaii with us
Of
in July?
course, I'll be in Hawaii. I'm going to be one of the sponsors there, like I did last
Absolutely.
year.
I'm gonna be
Yeah.
at your booth first. I'm gonna welcome you first.
And maybe I'll have a hula skirt. You never know, guys.
Oh, wow. Now that is a photo ready moment. So everybody, please plan accordingly. If you've already booked your convention ticket and your hotel, don't forget to be making those payments on your hotel room. You don't want to save it all to the last moment. Oh my goodness. Amanda said, are you going to have a coconut bra, Randy? He's giving us a
Maybe
whole
you
show.
never know. You never know. Hey, speaking of that, Patrice, maybe you could talk to John and Reggie and send out, see if they have a booking link for the vendors to book their hotels already.
Absolutely. I'm working with John right now for SoCal Boot Camp. I almost definitely have a conversation.
Okay, thank you.
And actually, you got the woman on the line. Miss Deidre Driscoll. Deidre, did you get that?
The block is already open, but I'll shoot an email to make sure they've sent it to you guys, send it to you all.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely,
She
because
is
I'll
the
need
woman.
it accessible.
I
Hey,
got you.
Deidre, didn't we sit next to each other on the
We did. We
demarcation day
had
on the
breakfast.
Forenza?
We did.
Exactly.
And I took your notes back to our planning meeting. So you
Well,
may see
thank
some
you.
changes
Thank
for
you.
next year.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, with that being said, family, we are done for today. Thank you for hanging on with us. And we look forward to seeing you at the beach in the bank and SoCal Boot Camp, the birthday convention, and all of the other events. So we look forward to that and we appreciate you greatly. Have a wonderful day, and our call is officially over.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Brenda. Thank you, Randy and Robert.
What? Bye-bye.